And hey, you guys. This is Andrew, owner and operator, founder of the Seed of Life Academy of Health Science and Natural Law. And I'm shooting video number 1 of what will be my natural law course, or my course on what's called natural law, or the Hermetic Principles of Natural Law. I've finally put together, or beginning to put together, a tutorial video set that I'm hopefully going to edit together and get everything rocking and rolling with that. But basically, it's a body of knowledge that I have found to be of extreme vast importance to me personally and my understanding of how life works, how nature works, how the universe operates, and how everything operates in the universe. And it's been vastly important to me, in particularly in the founding of my business, the founding of how I see other people in the world, how I see other relationships that I'm in, how I come to, create things in my mind, and how to build new things, and just my entire understanding and logic of how my life operates, how I make sense of reality, how I make sense of creation. And it has been so vastly important to me personally and my understanding of the world and how the universe and the world and nature all operate, that I feel it is my duty to do my very best to explain it to other people. So that's what I'm going to attempt to do in this course. And it's going to be relatively crude. I've got relatively crude equipment, but this is kind of a starting point of where I can start to get off into this, which are basically the Hermetic Principles of Natural Law, or what are also called the Universal Principles of Natural Law. So I'm going to give you a small rundown today and break it down, and I'm trying to make this into a whole video series. So my objective is for you to kind of stick with me during this explanation point, and it's going to be a little bit longer. It's going to be a longer, more drawn out tutorial video style thing, but stick with me to the best of your ability, okay? If you have any questions, ask me in the question area, or wherever I decide to publish this at. All right? All that being said, we're gonna dive into this, and we're gonna jump into it to the best of our ability. So, it seems that everyone wants to know how life works. We're all alive. We're all living sentient beings, whether we be from another ethnic group, whether we be from another place in the country, whether we be a squirrel, whether we be a dog, whether we be a planet, whether we be, any ethnicity, anything, whether we be anything. The universal question of life has been not only not why necessarily are we here, but how does reality work? And that's a huge question. Science is trying to understand that. Mainstream religion has been trying to explain that and propagate their information on things. I also work as a personal trainer and as a health coach, and I've found over my several years as a personal trainer that a lot of health issues are stemming from the causal factor of a lot of other health issues are stemming from issues within the mind, and discommunication between either their own self-worth, or where they stand in reality, or what everything is about, or all these crazy things. And these principles for me have started to have made sense into my understanding of reality, and given me confidence that the universe operates according to certain laws and principles. Okay? So that's what we're going to talk about today. So we are going to talk about what I call the universal principles of natural law, or also the Hermetic principles of natural law. And the word principle, we're going to break that word down. The word principle means first, means the beginning of, or the underlying foundation of something. It is principle. It is the principia. It is the foundation of which all other things in reality stem from, or all other, things stem from. It is the foundation. You can't build a house unless you got a solid foundation. This is the foundation, what I feel is one of the most important things a human could teach to another human, or a person could teach to another person. It is the foundation of understanding. So principle means foundation. Natural, another word, we're going to break the name down. Natural. Natural means basically it is referring to spirit, or referring to things that are not man-made. So things that are natural, things that occur from nature, are not things created by humans. Are not things created by any art, or not any artificial means, okay? It is completely non-artificial. These principles are basically what are called immutable. So immutable meaning they are always in operation, whether you're aware of them or not. Kind of like gravity. It's, you can jump off a mountain and you're going to fall off that mountain if you jump off of it, and it's going to affect you whether you believe in gravity or not. These laws apply the same way. They are immutable laws. And they are also natural, meaning humans did not create them. Okay? So let's get that along the lines. In order to understand things that are not made by humans or that are natural, we have to not apply emotional concepts to these laws or principles, because they are not created by humans. So how these laws operate have nothing to do with the functionings and operations of the humans, or of other entities. Okay? Let's try to get that clear, and I'll explain that more in other videos, and we'll go into entities and all that type of stuff, other planets, galaxies, etc., etc. But natural, principle, natural, and law, meaning it's foundational. It's apparent to you, whether it's going to be bound to you, whether you're aware of it or not. What is it? What is it? Ignorance of the law is no excuse for breaking it, or something like that. It's along those same lines. Okay. So let's break these laws down. In my framework of the universe, and my framework of how nature operates, can be broken down into 8 simple principles, or 8 principles. Okay? And that's pretty simple in comparison to a lot of other belief systems. Like whatever you believe, a lot of belief systems are relatively complicated. They're complicated, but they're simple at the same time. They're a little paradoxical, I would say. They're very paradoxical. And I would say, they're pretty self-evident. These 8 laws are as follows. The law of mentalism, okay? The law of correspondence, the law of vibration, the law of polarity, the law of rhythm, the law of cause and effect, the law of gender, and the 8th law of care, okay? And care is actually an encompassing principle. It operates, all these laws operate in themselves of one another, and care operates within all of them. And by the word care, it's a completely different meaning, or what I'm going to refer it as what most people would think of the word care to mean or represent. Okay? Let's go. I'm throwing that at you. Okay. Along with these laws here, there are some things that are called, if you get into the philosophy of what's called Hermetic philosophy, or Hermeticism, or alchemy, which is just a predating of what modern medicine has come through, and also, what science, and in particular Newtonian science, has stemmed from. They've both stemmed from alchemy, and they have stemmed from basically Hermeticism, okay? So the principles of how these things operate are ancient. They're ancient, they're old, they're back in ancient times of Egypt, old ancient Egypt. And it seems to be that the Egyptians understood some shit, all right? The Egyptians understood how certain things operate. They're building monuments that we can't even, compare to today. Thousands of years ago, that are lined in constellations, they're cutting limestone and hoisting it up fucking hundreds of feet and all. What I'm saying is they understood some shit, okay? That's the only point I'm trying to get to, is that they understood some shit. Maybe they've got a couple good ideas on them. So I'm not going to go too much into, the history of it. I'll save that for another video because I don't want to off-put too many people on the history of it. These principles kind of stand for themselves. It's not necessarily about the history of an in particular belief system. It's all about its validity. It's all about its ability to be self-evident. If something's obviously true, it doesn't matter where it came from. If something's true and it seems to be inherently true and you can't seem to disprove it, then it doesn't matter where it came from, okay? Even though where it came from is really cool, and we'll talk about that from another video, and we'll talk about how it's led up into history and how it's gone through, time and space and all type of craziness. What I want you to standpoint is what I'm gonna say valid? Can you apply it in your own life? And how can you use these principles and ideologies to make your life better? How can you use this mental state of understanding to make your mind, to make yourself, to make your life a more balanced, a more harmonious, a more will-filled life? That's what we want. That's what I want for everybody. That's what I want for all my clients, all my students, all the people that come to me, all my friends, all my loved ones. I want them to be able to manifest their own will to create whatever they want out of their lives. And if more people can create harmony throughout their life and learn to focus their wills, we would live in a much more diverse and creative and expressive life, planet, city, country, wherever it is. We would live more harmoniously. So that's what this is all about. And I feel like these principles dive into the foundations of how to do that, okay? So we'll go a little bit over the axioms of these principles, these 8 principles, and then I'm going to jump straight into the law of mentalism, and that's going to take the rest of the video because each of these laws can be applied so many different ways, okay? So let's go over what are called the axioms, which are just little phrases. So the first one is the law of mentalism, and it is the all is mind, or everything is mental or mental energy, okay? We'll talk about that here in a second. Nextly is what's called the law of correspondence. And this might be a word or something that you may have heard before. As above, so below. A lot of people have heard that saying, right? In some way or another. As above, so below. As above, so below. As within, here it goes longer. As within, so without. Okay? We'll talk about that here in a little bit. Nextly, the law of vibration. Everything vibrates, everything moves. Nothing rests. Nothing rests. Everything is in a state of vibration. Polarity. Everything is dual in nature. Everything has its opposites. There is no hot without a cold. There is no up without a down. There is no left without a right. Everything operates according, everything has poles, okay? We'll go with that. Rhythm. Everything has rhythm, basically. Everything moves in a wave-like pattern. There's rhythm to all things. The sun rises, the sun sets. The seasons. We'll explain that here in a little bit. Cause and effect. Every cause has its effect. Every effect has its cause. Every action, basic in Newtonian physics, every action has an equal and opposing reaction. Nothing is by chance. Everything happens according to law. Okay? Gender. There is gender in all things. Everything has its masculine and feminine principles. And by masculine and feminine, I don't necessarily mean male or female. It just means there's a softer side of things, there is a harder side of things in all things. Okay? And we'll talk more about that here in a little bit, or in the next video. But yeah, most things, plants have male and female parts. Animals, there are male and female animals, and these forces interact a lot all throughout the universe. If you're looking at it closely enough, everything has a pulling and a pushing effect. And then the final one, the encompassing one, is the principle of care. Everything seeks to maintain, sustain, protect, and defend itself. Maintain, sustain, protect, and defend itself. So your body seems to want to keep itself functioning, whether you're aware of it or not. It wants to stay in a state of harmony. It doesn't want to be out of state of harmony. It's defending, protecting, maintaining, and sustaining itself. Everything in nature is also doing that, okay? Those are the axioms. We'll start there with the axioms, and then we'll go on from there, and I'll go back over them here in a little bit. All right, let's break it down. The law of mentalism. Law of mentalism, motherfucker. It shit's the shit. All right. The all is mind. Everything is mental. What do I mean by the all is mind? Well, on a larger scale, the concept basically says that at the very core of existence, the very core of the universe, the very core of every atom and electron and animal and soul and being, there at its root, at the very foundation, is a field of energy that we call the mental field or the mental realm. That realm is connected to a all-encompassing being that Hermeticists call the all. Why they call it the all is because this energy seems to emanate through all things. Okay. We'll set that aside for a second, even though we will get back to that in a more spiritual aspect here in a little bit. But another way of putting that all is mind. Everything that you see in your reality, everything that is around us, was created and put in place by a thought, was emanated from somebody or something having a mental vibration that then brought it into manifestation. This t-shirt, somebody thought to put this t-shirt together. They had to sit down and say, hey man, you know what'd be really good? I need to create a t-shirt company and get a bunch of t-shirts and sew them together. Somebody had to think about growing the cotton that was in this t-shirt. Somebody had to think about developing the ink that is now on this shirt. Somebody had to think about shipping this shirt to me after I had thought of the design to put onto the shirt. So basically we're saying there's an infinite sequence of people and things coming together that are using their minds to create the reality. This building I'm standing in, a group of people thought, they used their minds and then they used their bodies to create and construct this house. The food that you are eating right now, or a drink that you are drinking, first came through from somebody thinking about bringing it into creation. You are currently thinking about watching this video. This chair right here, somebody thought, designed it out, thought about it, put together the chair. Somebody's thinking. The grass is in a state of thought. The grass is growing. It's not growing for no reason, no willy-dilly. It is thinking. It's thinking to a different degree, but it is nonetheless still the same principle of mentalism. And your dog is alive and thinking. It's thinking about wagging its tail. It's thinking about getting food. It's thinking about running around. It's not just happening for no reason. Everything is mental vibration or requires thoughts. Now, in order to, all right, are we on the same page on that one? Let's stop there for a second. Can we grasp that everything is mental and that everything that is reality came from somebody's thought or something's thought, right? The country we live in, group of people got together and be like, man, you know what'd be cool? Let's form a country. We're tired of fucking with Britain. They're being assholes, taxing us and shit. Let's get together. Let's form a country. And now we live in a country that we call America or whatever country they're at. You know, fucking every fucking thing. Every belief. Somebody thought about starting schools. Somebody's thought about what to teach the kids at the schools. Somebody thought about, you know, creating the game of football. People are thinking. That was what we're saying. All throughout history and the reality that we live in is a sequence of people thinking. People and things thinking. All right? Everything is in a state of thought. It's in a state of vibration. It's in a state of thought. Everything is mental. Everything is mental. Everything is mental. All right? I think that's a pretty graspable concept. Okay. So, that everything is mental, now that we understand that everything is mental, that means that everything can be changed. And for anything to change, it must first change in your mind. Okay? You can love somebody one day and then you can hate them the next. It's not that the person has changed, it's that your mental understanding of them has changed, or the mental state has changed. Okay? It has transmuted from one state to another, or to a different vibration. Okay? But all of that is based upon your mind. You can choose to like something or you can choose to hate something. It's all within your mind. You can choose to be a lawyer one day. Like, I woke up, I'm going to be a lawyer today. You know, I'm going to go read the law books, and then I'm going to go down to the law office, and, you know, I want to be a lawyer. So you do that. You know, you go through the processes of becoming a lawyer. If you want to do that, it's just a state of mind. Anybody can become anything if they focus their mind on it long enough. So that's another idea. The person who wants to build a house, say you want to build a house for yourself. I like building houses. I'm building a tiny house right now. What you got to do is you first got to think about it, man. You got to think about what it is that you want. You have to have a very clear aspect of what it is that you want. And then you have to focus on it long enough to bring it into manifestation. That's all things are, is you focusing on something long enough for them to come into manifestation. And then all these other principles will come and take place, and we'll explain that here in a little bit, but everything first starts in the mind. Everything first starts in the mind, and everything is also mental. Everything is mental energy. Everything is mind. Everything is mind. All right, so now that we kind of talked about it from, kind of a, totality group or totality area, let's talk about it from I'm gonna dive into a little bit of the science of it. So, what's called quantum physics, which is basically quantum just means basically really, really small, or quanta, the particles of things. We know that the universe is operating with atoms, what are called atoms and electrons. Most people have gone to school and they've taught that in some type of science class for one way or the other. Whether you can grasp it in its totality or not, so be it. It's okay. You don't have to. But understand that there are things called atoms and electrons. Okay? Can we grasp that? There are atoms, there are electrons. Cool. There are these tiny little particles of energy. Those particles of energy operate and function based upon laws, and they're also based in, from this perspective, what's called the Hermetic Perspective, they are the essence of mental energy. So my atoms right now are forming my muscular system. I've got a muscular system diagram right here. They're forming my muscular system. vibrations are happening within my vocal cords to make sound come out of them. That's happening right now. All those things that are taking place within my body, they're causing my muscular and my nervous system to move. Those are all vibrations and that are stemming from my mind, not my brain. My brain is also a creation, is a mental creation or a vibratory creation. But my mind is manifesting everything that my form is right now. And that same mental energy has manifest and is manifesting everything that is around me right now. Okay? Can we grasp that? I am mental energy. You are mental energy. The chair is mental energy. The board is mental energy. Everything is mental energy. And quantum physics has started to grasp that concept more and more. Science, to our degree, which is nothing more than a method of understanding something using our minds, has come to recognize that this is the truth, that this information, this wisdom that was taught thousands and thousands of years ago is true, and they're proving it now. They did it by some experiment saying that they were looking at some particles in a void or in like a tube, and then the second that they looked at the tube, like it reacted one way, and then they looked at it, their presence of observing it caused it to interact a different way. And when I do a more lengthy version of this video, when I edit it and make it all look good, I'll probably clip it into that experiment there. But just take my word for it right now. You could probably look it up. Just be like tube void experiment or something like that, or like observation experiment, something like that. You can find it on the internet or the YouTube or whatever you want to call it. This cool machine that we have that we can look up vast amounts of information instantaneously. That's a good one. Oh, but basically, it is the universe is mental. Yeah, all is mind. Everything is mental. That's a pretty self-evident law, I would say, that everything is mental. Some practices that you can do is saying that you want something out of your life. So say I want to manifest. What do I want to manifest today? I want to manifest. Anyway, you want to manifest something. Say you want to manifest something. The first thing you got to do is you got to think about it very much. You got to imagine it in the mind. You have to first say, oh, I really want an apple, or I really want something. First thing into creating anything, the first part of creating anything in the universe is first imagining it to be so in the mind. We have this crazy thing called the imagination, where I could sit in my mind right now and be like, oh, I can see the Eiffel Tower. I can visualize it. I can see its arches, and I can see the people walking around it, and I can smell the air. And even though you're not there, you can imagine it in the mind. We have this amazing thing that basically we can go anywhere we want to in the universe in our own minds. Isn't that crazy? You dream when you go to sleep and you're dreaming about things. You're observing things that you don't see in your own reality. How is that even possible? Like, if we're all mechanical tools that don't do anything, then why is your mind taking you to all these abstract and odd places in your own what we call dreams? Hallucinogenic trances and states are somehow affected and come forth in the mind. Like, we live in our own minds. We live in our own minds. Isn't that crazy? That's like the most awe-inspiring thing in the universe. But a pretty acceptable point I'm trying to get to, kind of rambling a little bit now, is that the all is mind, and that the universe is mental. Okay? Acceptable concept, right? All right. Signing out from Andrew of the Seed of Life Academy of Health Science and Natural Law.
Peace.